Hello friends, my name is Dr. Jyoti Prakash and I am Assistant Professor in the Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. Now, welcome you all to the video lecture that is based on the topic performance appraisal. In the previous video, I have explained the basic concepts, the objective and what are the benefits of performance appraisal and why performance appraisal practices are adopted by the companies. That is basically being implemented or adopted by the companies in order to fulfill the function of HRM, that is to develop and maintain the human resource in the organization, so that the organizational objective can be obtained. So, just start the discussion based on the later concept of performance appraisal. So, firstly before going further, we should just have a connect with the previous lecture of performance appraisal, means just understand the meaning of performance appraisal. So, it is all about a process of analyzing the performance and the progress of an individual employee towards his or her job. So, and also the potential so that they can develop their career and they can contribute a lot in achievement of the objective of the organization. So, in totality, we can have a understanding about the performance appraisal, that it is one of the function that is performed by a human resource manager or the organization in order to develop the employees in the organization by giving them some sort of benefit, and if the individual employee is performing well and fulfill the expectation of the company. So, obviously the organization should give them some sort of appreciation and acknowledgement to them. And how the company basically identifies and what are the methods that are used in order to appraise the performance of individual, that is basically the point of discussion in this video lecture. So, just and I hope that you must have understanding and you have developed the understanding of performance appraisal, that and the definition given by Dale is that it is a systematic evaluation of the individual with respect to his or her performance on the job and his or her potential for development. Means it is somehow this particular function or process is a systematic evaluation, and why this is called systematic evaluation. In the previous video based on performance appraisal, you just understand why it is called systematic process, because human resource manager or basically the concerned person who has been assigned the duty of performance or giving appraisal to someone or to some of the good performance, he or she has to go through a systematic process. So, it is called a systematic evaluation. Evaluation why it is called, because in this particular function, in this particular process, a particular check out is being done, means whatever the standard given to that individual, and after communicating that standard to that individual, how much standard that individual has achieved, accordingly helps the human resource manager or the organization in deciding whether to appraise that individual or not. So, in totality or in nutshell, we can just understand performance appraisal is all about a systematic process through which the performance of an individual is being assessed or is being evaluated. So, and accordingly the decision regarding giving appraisal or giving acknowledgement, appreciation to that individual is being determined. So, what are the methods and what are the ways through these the performance of the individual one or the employees of the organization be appraised. So, what are the methods? So, these methods are broadly categorized in two. So, in this video lecture we will discuss only the traditional methods that are used by the human resource manager or by the organization in appraising the performance of the individual one. So, the traditional methods are basically, the name itself refers that traditional methods are have been used from a long time, or basically the methods under traditional methods are like confidential report, essay method, straight ranking method, paired comparison method, graphing rating scale, checklist method, critical incident method, group appraisal and field review method. So, these are basically some of the methods come under traditional methods, and just develop the understanding of these methods and what method suits you being a human resource manager. I mean obviously I am assuming that you students are like the future managers or future HR managers. So, you must have been given the responsibility of appraising or being involving in this particular process. So, you just develop the understanding about the different methods and just evaluate different methods, and whatever the objective and whatever the instruction and expectation of the company, you will select one or combination of the methods in order to give justice to good performance. In fact, why it is called why I am saying that justice, because human resource management is all about acquiring, developing and maintaining the human resource in the organization, so that the organizational objective can be obtained. So, if the good performers are being retained and good performers are being appraised by the organization from time to time. So, obviously, they will hold a perception and they will have a feeling that obviously, if they will contributing, if they have been doing the same, if they are helping the organization in the same way. So, obviously, the organization will acknowledge, or the organization is also understanding this effort equally, and obviously, they will just take decision regarding giving appraisal to the individual or not. So, you should understand the available methods, and just before adopting any method, just be careful and just try to give justice to the employee, so that the particular purpose or of performance appraisal should be obtained by you. So, just have a discussion on one by one under traditional methods. So, the first method come under traditional method is all about confidential report. The name itself refers that confidential and report. Report is all about a written record, or written means something which is in a written form which describes something about the individual, and confidential is all about means that should not be open to all. Whatever the report prepared by the concerned person or by the supervisor, that should be done in a very confidential manner, that should not be known to all the parties or all the concerned one. So, all about a confidential report is a report prepared by the employee's immediate supervisor. Why it has been written employee's immediate supervisor? Because immediate supervisor is the one who is directly interacting with you, and he or she knows everything about your performance, about your achievement, about your loopholes, about your strength and weaknesses. So, he or she can give the full justice and give the genuine feedback about your performance. So, confidential report is all about a written report prepared by your immediate supervisor. Immediate supervisor is the one whom you report about your achievement, about your task completion, and about and the person who knows everything about you. So, a report prepared by the immediate supervisor which covers the strength and weaknesses, achievement, failures, personality, behavior of the employees. So, whatever the report that your supervisor is preparing about you means about your personality, about your behavior, about your dealing with other parties, about your failure, about your achievement, that gives a picture about you in fact in front of the management, in front of the organization. So, accordingly decision genuine decision can be taken regarding giving you appraisal, regarding appreciation or regarding acknowledgement of your efforts or not. So, it is all about a particular method in which your immediate means the immediate supervisor of the individual employee just prepare a report about the strength, weaknesses, achievement, failure, personality and behavior of the employees, and accordingly decision can be taken regarding appraising or not appraising that individual. The next method is essay method. Again, name itself refers the meaning is what is it. Essay method means method is all about a process or a procedure that will be basically used by someone. An essay, you must have an idea or you must go through this particular word, means essay is all about a descriptive and description of a particular topic. So, essay method Under this method, the evaluator writes a short essay on the employee performance on the basis of overall impression. Means appraisal is basically given for a after a certain time period. Basically we have gone through the objective or the features of performance appraisal. Means the performance appraisal should be given to the employees after completion of a certain time period. So, during that period your supervisor or your immediate one or the concerned evaluator basically keeps an eye about each and every performance, about each and every activity that you are showing, that you are contributing towards the meeting the target or towards meeting the expectation of the company. So, your evaluator or your means basically the immediate supervisor basically writes a short essay about the overall things about the performance of the employees, whatever he or she basically observes about you. So, it is all about a method that is called essay method. The next method is straight ranking method. If you see this particular method means straight ranking and method means obviously a particular concept that will be used, or straight ranking means you have to means if you see the word ranking means we have to give rank, or straight means basically it does not require some sort of calculation. You just observe the activity, means being a human resource manager or being the evaluator, you just observe and accordingly whatever the observation of yours you just rank out the available employees. Means if the company is going to introduce the appraisal to the employees, so appraisal should not be given to an individual, it is given to some of the good performers, or we can say that it is given to all the employees of the organization. So, all the employees are basically ranked from the best to the poorest on the basis of overall performance. As you see in the picture that the 5 star given to 1 and accordingly 4, 3, 2, 1 means every individual is given or assigned a rank, and whatever the top rankers or the good performers that are basically eligible to get good appraisal from the organization, and as far as the lowest one are the concerned, the accordingly decision can be taken by the organization that whether to give appraisal to that individual or not. So, under this method the evaluators assign relative ranks to all the employees in the same work, and employees are ranked from the best to the poorest, means from the highest to lowest on the basis of the overall performance, and whatever the decision taken the human resource manager wants to take, accordingly this particular methods gives a picture or gives a help to that human resource manager that how to give appraisal and how much benefits given to the individual one. So, straight ranking method, in totality we can understand that in this method all employees who are eligible to get appraisal from the organization, means who are good performance, they all are being given a rank or assigned a rank by the human resource manager on the basis of the performance that they have shown and that they have adopted while meeting the expectation or while achieving the target. On the basis of the given rank, the human resource manager or the organization accordingly takes the decision regarding giving appraisal or not to the individual or to the employees in fact. The next method come under traditional method, that is paired comparison method. The name itself also refers paired comparison, means comparison is being done in between the pairs, means in this method each employee is compared with all the others in pairs, and the number of times an employee is judged better than the other determines his or her rank. Suppose you see the picture, like there are 4 individuals who are eligible to get appraisal from the organization, like A, B, C, D, means how much possible pairs can be formed. So, pairs are like AB, AC, AD, BC, BD and CD. These are basically the maximum pairs that can be formulated among these 4 individuals, and accordingly the highest number, means in A or B, A is good, A is better, in A and C, A is better, in A and D, A is better, means in 3 possible pairs A is the good one or A is the best one. So, A is basically A deserves the most benefit from the organization. And accordingly, if A and B, B is better, in A and C, A is better, and if A and D, A is better. So, accordingly whatever the firstly the maximum pairs should be formulated of should be determined by the organization, and whoever the individual holds the maximum rank or maximum takes or maximum the good performance. So, accordingly the decision can be taken that who will be the highest one and who will be the lowest, and accordingly decision can be taken regarding giving appraisal to the individual or not. The next method is graphing rating scale. It is a numerical scale indicating different stages of a particular trait. The rater is given a printed form for employee to be rated. The form contains several characteristics related to the personality and performance of employee. Suppose you see in the picture like employee name means who are the one or who is the one which performance should be appraised by the or whose performance is being assessed by the human resource manager. So, the employee name, department and the job title, and basically the work related dimensions were given like the attendance, behavior towards subordinates, sincerity and dependability. And there is a scale basically poor, fairly good, good and excellent. Means here is a scale that includes 5 points, and 1 point or one end basically represents the highest good one, and the second end of the particular scale reverse the worst one, like and each and every individual is being rated like employee name like A is the one whose performance is being assessed by the human resource manager, like attendance, how attentive or how regular A is towards his or her duty, means so the evaluator gives a fairly good, means here he or she has assigned the rank like tick, means in attendance aspect he or she is somehow regular. Behavior towards subordinates means how good A is in interacting or in coordinating with other peers or in other subordinates. So, the evaluator gives a fairly good, means obviously somehow these two dimension gives a picture about A that he is basically good one. And sincerity good, means the evaluator has given a good rank or good tick to A related to the work related dimension, that sincerity means somehow he or she has an observation that whenever A has been given an assignment regarding fulfillment of any task, obviously A has shown sincerity towards the completion of that particular task. So, obviously the evaluator has given a good one, and dependability is very excellent, means somehow in dependability means we can somehow the organization or the human resource manager or the immediate supervisor can somehow dependent on A that he or he is basically good one, and he can be relied on upon by the immediate supervisor. So, these are basically, it is one of the example that I have given. So, whatever the work related dimension, means if you have your performance is being appraised by your human resource manager or your immediate supervisor. So, whatever the work related activity of yours, these should be given here, and that should be rated on a basically Likert scale we can say, or some pointers. So, accordingly a picture can be drawn that how good you are, how average you are, and how bad you are in maintaining or in performing the activities of the organization or of your assigned duties and responsibilities. So, this particular scale gives a picture to the concerned one or to the human resource manager about your performance. The name itself refers graphing rating scale. So, it is all about poor, fairly good, good, excellent is basically what a scale which denotes or which refers 5 points, in which we have seen that points like poor, fairly poor means we can say that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and whatever the picture or whatever the result human resource manager basically evaluates, accordingly decision can be taken regarding the individual employee's performance, that whether the performance should be given, appraisal should be given or not. So, it is all about the concept of graphing rating scale, means somehow if we can understand that a scale is being drawn and some work related dimension or some work related activity should be rated on the available scale, and whatever the picture or whatever the results coming after giving rate on the work related activities, on that basis the decision can be taken regarding giving appraisal to the employees or not. The next method come on the traditional method is checklist method. A checklist method is a list of statements that describe the characteristics and performance of an employee related to the job that he or she is performing, and the rater checks to indicate if the behavior of an employee is positive or negative. Like if you see that checklist method, here are some questions or some statements written related to the performance or the characteristic of the employee, and the basically evaluator gives either yes or no, means the more number of yes means somehow your performance or your behavior is positive towards your target or towards meeting the expectation of the company, and the more number of no's means the evaluator is giving no on each and every against in each and every statement. So, somehow this gives a sense or this gives a result about your negative performance, about your poor performance towards your assigned duties and responsibility. Like is regular on the job, means if A is the individual whose the decision regarding giving appraisal to A, that should be taken by considering this particular method. So, A is regular on the job. So, if I am a evaluator, I will give yes, does maintain discipline well. So, obviously yes, and if I am giving more number of yes, so obviously this will give a sense about the positive behavior or the positive performance of that A1, means if I am going to appraise the performance of A. So, these are basically some of the statements, some of the questions related to the behavior, and accordingly whatever the result comes after evaluation, after giving yes or no. So, decision can be taken regarding giving appraisal or to A or not. Next one is critical incident method. So, in this method critical incident simply means a method which somehow used under performance appraisal, and how means a critical incident has been arise because we have talked earlier about it that any uncertainty or any problem may arise any time in coming time or in future. So, how well or how tactful an individual is in tackling that uncertainty, in tackling that problem. So, in this method basically the supervisors keep a written record of critical events and how individuals behaved during that event, during that crisis, during that uncertainty or during that problematic phase. So, means how well that individual is in tackling that situation. Means if that individual has faced the situation without any problem in a very smartly manner, so obviously that individual deserves an appreciation from the organization, that performance should his or her performance should be acknowledged by the organization or by the human resource manager. Obviously that fulfills the purpose behind giving appraisal to the individual. The next method come under group appraisal method, under traditional method is group appraisal method. So, in this method a group of evaluator assess employees, and this group consists of your immediate supervisor of the employee and some other person or some other managers related to other department and other stakeholders related to your work. They all working in a group, and the group basically determines the standard of performance for the job, measures the actual performance and employee, and analyzes the causes of poor performance and offers suggestion for improvement in future. Means in the earlier method one individual, one evaluator, one human resource manager is responsible for assessing the performance of the individual one, but in this method we can say that one swallow does not make a summer, means somehow being evaluating the performance of someone, some error may arise, which will be discussed in the earlier videos of based on this particular topic. So, for overcoming from that problem, not not a single evaluator, not a single human resource manager is responsible. Here a group of somehow related person be formed, and they all are responsible for appraising or assessing the performance of the employees, so that accordingly they can just understand the performance of individual, and if there is a shortfall, if there is a we can say that if there is somehow error and there are some problems, so that that individual is not fulfilling the expectation of the company. So, accordingly suggestion should be given to the individual, so that he or she just may be prepared in tackling the situation in future. The next method is field review method. In field review method, a training officer from HR department goes in the field and interviews the supervisor to evaluate their respective subordinates. By answering their questions, a supervisor gives his opinion, his or her opinion about the level of performance of his subordinates and the subordinates' work progress, his strength, weaknesses, the behavior that he or she is showing towards the field person or to the person related to the field. So, accordingly decision can be taken regarding giving appraisal to the individual or not. So, these are some of the methods come under traditional methods. If you want to get more information about the topic, just go through these references, and I hope you will like this video that is based on performance appraisal and the methods of performance appraisal. Thank you, students.